Awesome. So I think we are now live, guys.
Nice. Good.
Awesome. So for anyone that's joining joining the first stream, thank you very much. This has been an idea of mine really for the last probably 2 years. But I think the form this season, late on, second half of the season has fallen to bits a little bit. It's kind of pushed me. Saw a lot of other Blues and kind of other content creators from outside and inside the club really have their say, and obviously a lot of it has been fairly negative, which I think is fair enough. When you're the top for so long, I think you're an easy target, aren't you? We all saw it with United, the top for so many years, and obviously where they are now. But for those of you that don't know, my name's Lewis, obviously the host of Bringing the Blues, and I'm joined today by Thabo, who's the chap there, and Luke from the Not In My Lifetime podcast. So thank you all for joining today. So, given as it's the first video, first stream, obviously I know you, Luke. You've been on other streams before. That's obviously how I've kind of came into contact with you. But if you want to give yourself a little introduction and maybe just an idea of when did you start following the club?
That's a good question. Actually. So me with football, I didn't actually grow up with actually a parent like football. Really. It was more just I sort of got into it after watching the World Cup, really, and so from there, my love for football grew from there, really. And I've grown up. I've always had Man United. Never a lot of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. I always thought if there's a team out there that I genuinely related to a lot more, it was City. Now people think Valve was different because obviously the club came into money. Obviously, I'm like 24 scholarships. Obviously, growing up, I was very young. I didn't remember a lot of us being crap. I remember like mid-table roughly, going up towards top half, and obviously towards Europe later on. But I don't remember a lot of the crap time. So for me, obviously, I learned a lot about that as I got older from other people who told me little stories and that. But for me, supporting this club over the years, obviously it's been great supporting them. They're doing really well, but I'm sure at some point future we'll back to being back to being crap at some probably as every club gets to at some point. But the beauty of being a football fan and being a fan of the club is that you feel part of the community, part of the fan base, and since being on Twitter, obviously I've had people who didn't like what to say, but this is the beauty of being a fan. Everyone has their opinion. Everyone's different about it, and me doing a podcast because of that with two mates that go to games a lot more. I do. I go to quite a few now more than I've been beforehand. Home and away when possible, but it's been a great experience for me. Big part of the fan base community, and it's great to be doing this channel, get to talk to people in the chat. It's great. I love doing it.
Brilliant. And who's your favourite player growing up?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. See, for me growing up, I think I remember when I've got into football, I used to really like Elano and Giovanni.
Yeah.
Growing up and I think for me, I'm a big fan of Brazilian footballers.
Yeah.
Which is why I like Sabinho and Fernandinho and a lot of the Brazilian. Obviously, my favourite player of all time is Kevin De Bruyne because I just love it, and Emirate because I like David Silva, I do, but for me, types of players, I've always liked the game changer players like De Bruyne and Yaya, but as I've got older, I appreciate more the David Silvas and players of that ilk. As I've got older, and matured more football. But for me, growing up, definitely Giovanni and Alana growing up, but recently Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, no, I completely. I know what you mean when you say that. I think when you're a lot younger, I remember some of the teams that we had, and obviously, the star player growing up for me were players like Joey Barton. But again, an English lad, young English lad. So players like Elano, and I remember when Giovanni came, and automatically he was a fan favourite just because he, just for where he's from, Brazil. I suppose all the expectations that come with that. So nice one. T, we'll move over to you, mate. I only met T a couple of weeks ago, which is a funny story actually. T goes to all the games, and I actually bought a ticket for one of the Champions League games this season. I'm not on the cup scheme, which actually worked out quite well up until this point, hasn't it? So I only met T literally a couple of weeks ago, sat next to him for the first time. So T, if you want to introduce yourself and again just tell us your story, really, how you started following the club.
All right, cool. Yeah, so as you said, my name's T. Been following City since 2010. So obviously I'm from South Africa, and I was lucky enough to go to a few of the games, and I was supporting South Africa and Spain. I don't know why I supported Spain, but I did. And David Silva was just magnificent that tournament. And that same summer he signed for City, so I thought, I don't really support a team, let me support City. So I remember the first game I watched him play was Tottenham away. Remember that Joe Hart game where he just said everything?
No, yeah, I remember that game.
So that was my first proper game as a City fan, if per se. And then I moved to England in 2013. My first game live was the remember the 6-3 against Arsenal.
Oh
yeah. So that was my first ever live game in Manchester as a City fan. Obviously, I was lucky enough to see them in South Africa that summer. But yeah, my first actual game at the Etihad was against Arsenal, and I was lucky enough to get a season ticket in Pellegrini's last season.
Oh, wow.
So I've seen a lot of good, obviously not really this season, Pellegrini's last season, but under Pep, I've seen the treble, I've seen 100 points. So yeah, I got it every home game, as you said, Lewis. But obviously try to get tickets for the away games, but that's like gold dust. So yeah, story.
That last season, Pellegrini, right? It was just a mixed bag because it got to the semi-final, which was Harrowing, by the way, both legs. I mean, if you got a one goal in that game, we're through to the final.
Exactly.
In the league, you got cooked by everyone. And I know never how we got fourth. Didn't deserve that.
Lucky.
Carabao Cup, League Cup, mad season.
Crazy season.
I'm right in thinking as well. I think Pellegrini, it might have been his last season. I'm sure we had 5 strikers registered, didn't we? Do we still have 5 strikers at that point? Or was that last year of Manchester?
Yeah, not great.
I can't remember. I just remember his first season. We just scored bags and bags of goals, and it was always the thinking of we were rubbish defending wise. We were rubbish. We'd always concede every game, but it didn't matter because we'd score 4, 5, or 6. Remember the West Ham games? You remember them? Every time we played West Ham, it was just
6-0.
6-0. I felt bad for them actually. I remember it was Sam Allardyce. I'm sure it was Sam Allardyce.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Big Sam. That's probably why I lost his job. To be fair, in the end. But no, thanks for that, T. So. I suppose a little bit about myself. So, followed City really all my life. Funny story really of how I became a City fan. So, my dad's a City fan, and he's obviously followed City as well. Obviously, how I started watching the club, but I could have very well have been a United fan. The only reason I am a City fan and my dad's a City fan is because growing up. We didn't have loads of money, and so I think he was playing football for his school or whatever, and he asked his mum, my nana, he said, I need a football top, can I go and buy one? So she went with no instructions. It wasn't like go and buy a City top, I just need a football top. And she went, and obviously the City tops were back then cheaper, obviously, than the United ones, and so my dad became a City fan just from that really, and obviously me from that, which is very, very fortunate, very, very blessed really. Growing up in school and that, it was a bit rough because we were still naff as we've kind of spoke about, but the last 10-12 years has just been fantastic. I think a lot of the younger fans now have obviously kind of seen the last 6 years, maybe the end of Pellegrini, mostly for Pep. But I remember the Marquee season, pushing for top 7. That would have been a good finish. Players like Robinho joining the club, which was just unheard of, obviously at that point. So yeah, it has been a journey. I've got a season ticket. I do go to all the home games, and I do follow them away when I can. And I always make sure to follow the lads once a year. I go Europe, so I am actually going to Real Madrid in a couple of weeks. we'll see. It'll be my third time at the Bernabeu, which is a bit frustrating, really, because I was hoping to get Bayern Munich because I've never done the Allianz.
Yeah, I want Bayern too. I'm bored of playing Madrid now. It's like, I know it's Haaland and Mbappe, but come on, man. I want one every year now. Madrid, them lot every year.
Yeah.
I'm bored of playing them.
It's funny as well because I think obviously I know it's a different team, but recently, in the last 10 years, whenever we've only really come up against Bayern in the last 10 years, but we've got a really good record against them. And I think going into those games we'll be a lot more confident. Whereas Real Madrid, it doesn't matter. Real Madrid could be 10th in the league. It's the Champions League. Anyway, so I think we'll probably get started by talking about the Leyton Orient game. We'll do a little bit of a recap there.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, guys, what were your general thoughts? I suppose going into that game, what were you expecting?
Thabo, you go first, mate.
All right. So obviously, a lot has been made about our fixtures, starting from the Arsenal game last week, which obviously lost to the Orient game, to the Real Madrid, then the Newcastle, Liverpool, whatever in the league. And I thought to myself that obviously Orient one's going to be the easiest one out of all of them, but we struggled. Generally, we actually struggled. I was watching the game thinking, is this Man City? As soon as we went a goal down, I thought, this is bottom barrel. If we lose this and we get knocked out like Liverpool did today, there's nothing worse to happen to us, in the whole season. But, at least we won. Liverpool obviously got knocked out. Tottenham are currently on their way of being knocked out now. So, get a decent cup draw tomorrow and then anything can happen. But, yeah, it just has to be a lot better for Tuesday. Obviously, different opposition. Different players will be playing, but... yeah, it needs to improve, and I don't know if it will. That's the thing, I don't know.
Luke?
Yeah. To be honest, you're right. I knew what to expect. I knew Haaland wouldn't play, Ronaldo wouldn't play. I think that game for me, obviously Orient are actually a good team. Credit where it's due. They're actually doing well in the League One. They're in the playoffs right now, fighting to get the championship, obviously from being like the National League years ago. So good on them for obviously doing really well at the moment. But I knew it would be a tough game because FA Cup away games only you know how it is. Doesn't matter how good your team is. Anything can happen on a certain day, and obviously annoying to get Nico Gonzalez injured. But obviously, I heard he's okay, thankfully. Not too bad. So that's good for Tuesday at least. But I thought what the new guys play. I thought Mitchell Hayes was a good player. I think long term he'd be good. Right now we need to sort of bend him in over time. But I was impressed with what I saw of him. Kushanov's been good. I know the mistake was terrible at Chelsea, but apart from that, really good so far. He's getting better and better. Nico, I don't see a lot of him. It looked decent when I saw him, but we've got to see a bit more to judge properly on that one. And Marmoush, he probably should have scored really on Saturday. But when I look at him, I think give him some balls in behind. Give him some chances. He will score goals. As a fan base, not us by the way. We're quite chill on that front. I was on Twitter and that needs to just chill out a bit. You can't expect these guys to come in here and change the whole season up. For me, in terms of the league, I'm like, look, just get top four, get out there. I'm not saying it everyone in the league, but you're relying on a massive collapse of a couple of portions of Liverpool to do that. Us win every game, and I'm like, FA Cup, Champions League. They're the priorities for me right now. Get top four as well. Get top secured. We've got Champions League football next year. Yeah. But the Cup's where it's right now. I think yes, there was a huge win because if we lose that game, it's going to be a Ross at the end of the season. You know what I mean? So big win yesterday. Bigger than what people think it's going to be.
No, I think coming back to the Twitter side of things, I think the fan base is a little bit split at the minute because obviously, like I mentioned earlier, you've got the fans that have been here last 10, 15, 20 years and obviously so on, and then you've got a lot of these fans and obviously a lot of the Twitter fans are from that younger demographic. So, I replied to a tweet the other day, which is nonsensical. The usual stuff, Marmoush is a flop. We've not brought in anyone good. Gonzalez was a panic buy. And I won't promote stuff like that. And actually, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to jump on because I was just sick of seeing just rage bait. That's what it is. It's just engagement farming on Twitter now. I think I completely agree with what you're saying. The problem that we've got at the moment and the club is obviously we're under a microscope now. any slip up is obviously amplified, and I think people are forgetting football's hard. It's still difficult. Whether we're top of the form or not. We've never gone a season unbeaten, and there's a reason for that. We're in a blip at the moment, and so when you're going away to grounds like Leyton Orient, the type of football they play, they've got nothing to lose there. I think their chairman came out and said they've got an 11% chance of winning. So they knew, those players knew, right, we could cause an upset here. There was no pressure on them. The new lads that came in, I thought played really well. Obviously, as soon as Nico went down, and you knew what was going to happen. He was coming off, which is a bit of a shame. But again, he had to be played in that game. There was no way we could drop him in against Real Madrid. He needed that training and get used to the physicality for me. So, no, it was a big win. It was definitely a big win.
Agreed.
I think for me as well is I've noticed as well. I think we got to remember that we're coming off a really bad, terrible run. Like the second worst run we've been on before Keegan was it 118? I'm going to look back. 1 win and 13 at one point. I'm sorry, but as a fan base, not us, but especially the people there as well, young and old, people who are young doing it as well. People obviously are older have been going at it as well. I think what we've got to do is remember, look, we have won so much the past few years, right? Unfortunately, the club have got it wrong in the window. We didn't best play this summer. Obviously, we got Savio in, great signing for the long term. Gundogan, I think now look back on it, was the right move. I think he's not a bad player, but he's not the player we needed at the time. I think Rio G was the player we should have got in. £500 million. I think it would probably be worth it for us in the long run to get a player like him in the team. But it's hindsight. It's lessons been learned in the summer. It'll be a huge summer. I think a lot of players are going to leave in the summer. A lot of us, the whole squad, I reckon a few are going to definitely be out the door in the summer. And I don't care who goes anymore. I think alongside I know who'll be here. The ones who are obviously just not good enough anymore. Thank you for your service, but it's time to move on and move on to the next era. But I think for me, I'm not necessarily accepting the failure, but it's kind of like, but I understand where we are, and it is what it is. But remember, this season isn't done yet. Nothing's done yet. We've got every chance to turn it around, but we've got to improve quickly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we're falling behind.
Yeah. No, I mean, Thabo asked me, literally prior to coming on the stream, do you think we'll win? I think the question was, do you think we'll win the FA Cup? It's difficult to answer, isn't it? Obviously, we can win the FA Cup. Of course we can. We've got the squad for it. Of course we have. I think it'll come down to how the new players bed in, how players like Marmoush, Kusanov, obviously Nico coming in. I think it depends how they bed in and how quickly they can bed in. And the new lad from Brazil, is it? I always struggle with his name. Is it Reyes? Reyes.
Reyes. Yeah. That's Reyes, apparently. Yeah.
Now, for me, we're still signing, players for the future. If you look at Reyes, the Brazilian lad, he's paper thin, and he came from a league, which is not a very physical league to begin with either way. So I think some of these players, it is just going to take longer for them to kind of get used to the pace and get used to the physicality. I think one player that'll stand out for me this season, I think Kusanov will hit the ground running. I know he had a bit of a wobble against Chelsea, was it? Yeah, he had a bit of a wobble against Chelsea, didn't he? Again, but it happened to anyone starting, the first game against a team like that. But I think he'll bed in well. I saw that long ball that Nico popped over, which was Rodri-esque, so that was a good sign. I know we didn't get to see a lot, but it just depends on how quick these lads can bed in, really. Because coming back to what you said, Luke, about Gundogan, probably shouldn't have signed him, and it was one of them, wasn't it? I think it was a bit of a romantic story. I think things were tough at Barcelona. They didn't really want to keep him anymore, and obviously we gave him that kind of that route back into top level football, but the legs were gone. He'd acclimatised to the Spanish league, and at that age, there's no way that you can bring it back up.
No. You can't.
But I think just to summarise the Leyton Orient game, I think everyone should have been happy with that. It was a scrappy one, but it was a champion's performance at the end of the day. It was a side that hadn't really played together before, with some of the new lads in there. Obviously, Grealish should come back in. Now, some of the lads that know me, I'm not Grealish's biggest fan. I'll be completely honest. I'd love him to do well, I just haven't seen it for a long time now. But he did come on yesterday and he did change the game. Obviously, he got the assist for that De Bruyne, and it was a De Bruyne pass. It was a De Bruyne's pass that he actually put it round. So no, hopefully he can come into some form. I'd love it if he came into a little bit of form, because we need it at the moment. Obviously, with Doku out, heavily reliant on lads like Savio.
Well, good news is that Doku and Ake are back, I think, staying training today. So the only news we've got now is Rodri. Now, I hope we don't rush him back. Please do not. I'd rather go. No.
I don't think Pep will be stupid enough to do that.
We can't be doing this, because bring him back in for the summer, for the next season, go again next season.
Agreed.
I don't want to see him play. I don't want to see him play at all. I don't want to see him play I couldn't. To be honest with you, it might be the wrong attitude. I couldn't care less about the Club World Cup at the end of the season. I'm really not bothered, to be completely honest with you. Maybe that'll change if the form turns around. You call me fickle or whatever. It's just more games, just more additional games. I think it's one of them. It'd be great to win it, because again, it's another trophy, and it is prestigious if you look at some of the teams that have won it in the past and have been involved. But I think it's just come at the worst possible season. If it had been last season or next season, I think we could probably go on and win this. But I think again, it's just those additional games. So I could do with the season getting wrapped up sharpish, to be honest, in terms of the Premier League anyway. Just give me top 5. I think 5th now. I think 5th is it a playoff, or it's going to be an additional spot?
So the coefficient at the moment, it means the top 5 as it stands for England would go straight to Champions League. No playoff needed, just like last season. Right. So, but it depends on how the teams in the Europa League do, teams in Champions League this season. So
it could come down to that. It honestly really could.
But we should try and finish top 4 rather than 5th, and then be.
I'd rather get high. If we finish behind Forest, that's a real low. That is. Bear in mind, big up Forest for how good they're doing right now. Yeah. But we should be at least second. Mm-hmm. I'm not asking to be top anymore. Get us top 4, get it wrapped up, and then just I just think people need. What we got to do, make sure that we don't end up because if this carries on with this bad run, or up and up, it needs to be the system. So for me, going forward now, rest this month, just get out of it unbeaten, if possible. So, all right, because the Arsenal game was a real wow, we are nowhere near it right now. Because I know it was mistakes, but we've all seen this team win it beforehand, and the mistakes we remember and stuff like that. And on Tuesday, when we get on to Madrid, if we do that against Madrid with their attack,
we'll be punished.
We're punished.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I've done it a few times this season. You thought, you get into the cycle of we win a game and you think, oh, you know what, we looked all right then. I did it for the Forest game. When we beat Forest 3-0, it was a great result, and we looked good. We looked really good that night. A lot better than we had done previously. But then, the week after, slipping up again. The Chelsea game was another one. Great, awesome, but actually, you reflect about that game. We were very fortunate, really, in how that game went. I think we rallied well. We did rally well, which was good. We dug deep, which was nice to see, because it was the first time this season. I think one of the first times this season where a big mistake was made and we didn't crumble. A big mistake was made from the new lad, but the lads rallied round him for the first time. It was Bernardo Silva pulled him to one side, just said don't worry about it, and obviously kind of covered for him in that game, which is great to see. However, you then get the PSG game. I was sat watching that with my girlfriend at the time, and we were 2-0 up, and she said, you don't seem that bothered. I said, well, just wait, because there's plenty of time here. We've not played to be 2-0 up. You know what I mean? We've just nicked it against the run of play, really, with 2 goals out of nowhere. And obviously, as soon as that second one went in, PSG just took it up 2-3 gears and blew us out the water.
Yeah.
You at the What games have you been to? Have you been to all the Champions League games this year, T, at home?
Yeah. Apart from the Feyenoord game, thankfully, my train got cancelled on the way there, and we drew the game 3-3, so I wasn't complaining too much. But apart from that game, yeah, I've been to every home Champions League game.
Yeah. I look back at that, the Feyenoord game. I still think that's been the worst result of the season. I know we didn't lose it, but actually, if we'd have won that game, we'd have been through now in the Champions League.
Yeah. And we wouldn't be playing a stupid game against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be.
But just mad right though as well. Look at who's in the playoffs: Bayern, Madrid, us, PSG.
Big teams.
Act like this, it's going to be all dominated by top teams. It was not. No. I'll be honest with you, right? All four of us shouldn't even be in the playoffs, really.
No.
But yeah, all terrible.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But like Madrid's back line, right? They have no one back there. If I know we're not great, right? I know we're not. But if you cannot outscore Real Madrid with that back line, then you don't deserve anything.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you saw, Lucas Vazquez got injured today, it's been confirmed. So, I bet you Pep plays Foden and Bernardo on the wings. I bet you he does.
Try. Selena Doku.
It has to be. You got to
go full power.
Has to be.
Yeah.
If we don't win on Tuesday, I don't see us winning in Spain. So we have to win on Tuesday.
Start Kevin De Bruyne as well. Kevin De Bruyne must start this game. He is the Madrid killer. Everyone hate him.
And Erling Haaland, we love you. Step up for this game. Just score a goal this year. Like he played against Charmany and against that young Swente. Like, yeah. So like on paper, I mean, come on. On paper, sure.
You can't do this, mate. I'm sorry, but the question needs to be asked. It can't get through because
100%.
I'm not being arrogant here. I'm saying we've got to look at the injuries they've got compared to our injuries. Well, everyone's back really apart from like Rodri.
Yeah. And if you said about Nico, if Nico plays on Tuesday,
he's fine.
Again, I've not seen a lot of him, but I know only against Leighton Orient. But because he's just physical, isn't he? And that's what we need. Literally, that's all we need.
Look, for me, it's all about if we're like 3-1 or 4-1, I'm taking it absolutely because we need a cushion going into that Bernabeu game.
I said the same thing to my brother.
That will be a weather the storm kind of game. Yes. Weather the storm because the first quarter hour at Bernabeu will not be nice. I tell you.
Like obviously, City now from like remember 21-22. Even if you're in the lead at the Bernabeu, it can change within 2 minutes. That
first leg annoyed me the hell out of me because it was actually a battering. Went 6-7-3. And if we'd held that game, it probably would have been like more than that. But again, that start 2 minutes in goal, same thing again. 2 goals, you start wrapping them in.
Has to be quick. And we have to be clinical because Madrid was clinical against us. We have to be the same against them.
Facts. Yeah.
I'm telling you now. Okay, Nico has to start that game. The only way he's not going to be able to start that game if there's something that we're not aware of now. Pep is pretty good when it comes to injuries, generally speaking. You do get a good idea of how bad an injury is. I think he'll be in there. But I'm telling you right now, if the midfielders Gundogan and Kovacic, you can write the game off now.
Forget it.
Off now. And I tell you, it will be a cricket score. It will be.
Yeah, it'll be like 5-5 or 4-4. Literally, honestly.
The defence this season has not been great, okay, but we've had a lot of injuries and it's been chop and change. If Ake's fit, John Stones isn't, Diaz has not been fit. We're having to bring in these signings in January to try and support that defence. But the problem isn't the defence. The defence is it's injuries that's ruined the defence this season. The problem is obviously we've lost Rodri. You've got Gundogan and Kovacic, and actually I think Kovacic has been fine this season. Honestly, I do. I think he gets a lot of flack, Kovacic.
It's Gundogan, mate.
Yeah.
Gundogan. He's not terrible, man, but their legs have gone.
There's someone else who I'm not going to mention, but someone who you just forgot to mention, Luke. I love him, but Bernardo Silva.
Oh, but I was sorry, I me for that against Chelsea. Look, he had one great game. It doesn't mean the whole season changes around. This fan base, I don't care who you are very fickle. We get from game to game. And I love all the players, but we've got to be real. Like, if we're going to move forward and get back to being a good level again, I'm not asking for 3 treble winners again. That was mental in itself. But to get back to being league winners and up there again, you've got to be looking at the players and think, well, Bernardo Silva's been played to death. His legs have gone. Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne has given 2 hamstrings and legs for us to get trophies for us. Mm-hmm. We have played this squad to breaking point.
Yeah.
We got to start easing pressure on these guys, and then start bringing new blood in. So I'm fully happy if we get an FA Cup win this season and top 4 Champions League. I couldn't really care. If we get to like the semi-finals somehow, all right, I'm locked in. Right now, I'm like, I don't know yet because I need to see what we do against Madrid. Give up Madrid. Yeah. All right, let's go some that because bear in mind, you get through this game. Let's go some weight, and they're just not as good either. They're also very good teams.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just gonna say like one game at a time, all that, but this is a hard. This is like a final in itself.
Yeah,
it's a final already.
It was. Listen, it's the worst possible team to play at this stage of the season for us. There wasn't a worse team to play. You know, I would literally have rather had anyone. You know, it's not possible, but I'd have played PSG again. You know, the worrying thing is if you look at PSG and their form this season, they've not been great. Okay, they've been really spotty as well, and obviously I know Madrid, they're in a bit of an influx at the moment. You know, I think it's not been confirmed as it, but there's rumours that Ancelotti's not staying, he's leaving. A lot of things that I am hearing though, which I think is something to focus on, is I think there's a lot of turmoil in their locker room. You've got a lot of big personalities in there. I don't think Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., I don't think they're gelling. I think they're clashing off the pitch. You can see it on the pitch. I mean, Vinicius Jr. is getting carded. He's getting sent off because his behaviour for a footballer. I mean, we know what listen, we know what sort of person he is anyway. You know, from the Ballon d'Or, how he spat his dummy out about that. You know, and the team in general, the squad in general. You know, not joining. And what got me about that the most is there were Spanish internationals in that team, teammates of Rodri. You know, who he'd won. You know, was it the World? It was the World Cup, wasn't it? Not the Euros. Euros. Sorry, yeah, it was. Yeah, won the Euros. All silent. So, you know, it's not a happy camp. That it isn't. And I think I think if we're going to do them, it has to be like T said there. It has to be at the Etihad. We're not going to get anything at the Bernabeu. I've been there twice now, and both times has been a draw, and fairly so. But I think what we've got to remember is we were drawing them when we were at our best. You know, we had players like Bernardo Silva at their best, Kevin De Bruyne at his best. You know, even De Bruyne, I love him. I think he's fantastic, but we know he's not at his best. But he's still obviously our best option as an attacking midfielder. So listen. It's not impossible.
No,
but it needs to be. We can't be going into the Bernabeu 1-0 down, 2-0 down. You know, any more than that, obviously, you know, it's a write-off.
For me, Marmouche is a player that could be that player, but we've got to be patient with him. Like the guy is a fantastic player. Watching him at Frankfurt, Wolfsburg, he's like Kevin away. Not saying I think the way he delivers balls to the box, scores goals, very similar player. But we can't be pushing this guy to say, right, Marmouche, save our season. No one's saving the season right now. It's not one player that's going to save our season. It needs to be a collective team to improve to get us over the line. So I think on Tuesday, for me, I start experience. Kevin De Bruyne must start. I mean, for me, I was also start Nico Gonzalez as well. But you need Kevin to start that game. It is Arsenal. We should have started. I don't want to start with Arsenal because Kev in big games will step up. Yeah. He will. Because Haaland and Marmouche need him in the team. Because the amount of times that I keep thinking, like, you've got Marmouche, you runs behind. But no one on our team does that. Apart from Kev, or maybe like the odd player, no one ever does that in terms of finding a ball for a defence. We've got to start getting back to that. Hopefully, we'll do players coming in the summer. I want to see us go back to a Centurion style team. I think this is where we're going now. I think now we've got wingers and strikers, and obviously, fullback. I think in this summer, I think that's like Frimpong on that, and maybe Cabiasso, and obviously maybe could Guardiola set that probably with Diaz. Maybe what we're trying to do. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what I'm seeing of Pep's buying certain players coming into the team, we're not going back to that system again. So maybe. Because
I think football's going that way as well. If you look at all the teams that are doing well, like Liverpool don't play with the wingers who control the game. They play with wingers who are fast and direct. So I think we just got to do the same thing. Because, like I said, if we don't start Doku and Savinho on Tuesday, I think we've missed a trick there. Generally, honestly, I think we missed a trick.
Yeah, to be honest, but Bernardo and Foden on that team.
Honestly, I reckon Foden and Bernardo starting the wings. If Nico starts,
it has to be pace and power. You cannot beat Madrid with control. It doesn't work. Like, that's great. Control the ball, nothing with it. Because we'll just sit here with our bank of 10 and let you guys get out of it. It's got to be fast pace, down the wings, skill, goal. It's got to be insane.
At the moment, I think, unfortunately this season, it sounds awful really. I think the longer that we have on the ball, the more chance we're going to make a mistake this season.
Yep, facts.
And we've seen it time and time again this season. You go back to again the Chelsea game. Everyone looked to Kusanov for that, but look how the ball was played into him. It should never have been there in the first place, really. So no, I agree with you. I think we've got to get both of those wingers on, Savio and Doku. Just go at them. Just coming to one of the comments here from Andrew Bowie. We've got, love it boys, going into the games for Madrid. Who are you starting? Are you starting Ortega or Eddie?
Ederson.
Okay.
Only one answer. Luke, I tell you what, again, as you said about the fans being reactionary to like one game and then changing. Ederson is our best goalkeeper. Whether he makes mistakes or not, he's our best goalkeeper. Don't care what anyone says.
I'm a little bit torn. I love him. I think Eddie's brilliant. His distribution is obviously the best in the league, and I don't care what anyone else says. His distribution's miles better than Alisson. Under pressure, off pressure. The only thing that I would say is, what are we trading? The big trade-off between Ederson and Ortega, because listen, Ortega is a better shot stopper. He is, one-on-one. You look at the save against Son last season. The save of the season, really. He's gone through a little bit of a rough patch recently, and obviously he's brought Eddie back in. It's a tough one for me because I know if anyone gets one-on-one with Ederson, he's not going to save it. Vinicius Junior's not going to miss from there. If Bellingham gets in on there, he's not going to miss. Who do you pick? I mean, obviously you boys are going to go Ederson. I think I'd probably go with Ortega.
The issue for me, mate, and I understand why going Ortega, against Arsenal, the amount of mistakes that was called by Ortega passing the ball out from the back, he can't do it. And we need someone who can do ball out from the back. Ortega doesn't do it very well, whereas Ederson does it. And Kovacic and Kanji against Arsenal, under pressure, couldn't deal with it. And then because every time the ball passes them, it was a dangerous ball. And you know what they're going to do, Madrid. They'll tell Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Bellingham, Ravini to press up higher us. And they've got pace to do it. So we've got to make sure that we've got someone who can play up the back with ease. Because Ortega is a shot stopper, he is, but we need someone who can play well out from the back and get us moving quickly. Because it's all about pace, this one. Pace, power. Because I think controlling the game, I don't care how much pressure we have against Madrid.
Yeah.
If you've got 1-0, 2-0, I don't really care. Goals are the most important stat of the game. Who has more goals than the other team? So, again, I get Ortega, but for me, in this kind of game, Ederson for me.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think, big game player. I think he does fall into the starting 11. I know it's been a bit of a tussle this season because, again, I think even during the start of the season, I think Edison's head was still in Saudi, wasn't it? I think he did want to leave. I think that was obvious now. But I do think maybe he's had a chat with Pep and said, look, if you want to leave at the end of this season, fine. As we know with City, if a player wants to leave, they will go, and it genuinely doesn't matter, who it is. Look at Cole Palmer. We got a lot of flack for that, for letting Palmer go. And I say to rival fans all the time, he didn't want to stay. We didn't want to get rid of him. We just couldn't, at the time, we couldn't give him what he wanted, which was basically, I want to start near enough every game. Now you can look at it now and think, well, what a mistake, and yeah, it probably was. But if you look at the players that were ahead of him, then there was only one response that Pep was going to get there.
It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. We won the 4P to that. Foden won Player of the Season in his positions.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a mistake.
Yeah. Interesting. So let's go. We've got another question here. What midfield would you start versus Madrid?
Luke, you go first, mate.
Okay, mate. I would probably have to go. Well, if he's fit, please be fit. Nico Gonzalez at a 6, and then I would go Kev and because it's the thing. I would play in two eights, or I'm playing 1 for 4. It's a hard one there because I will play Kev in there, but does Foden get dropped? Does he get dropped? Or I think he has to because he hasn't been. He's been getting goals, but no near level in terms of performances. So I'm probably going to go for the Nico, Kovacic, and Kev. This one, I think. Obviously, Mamouche can play as well. I'm not going to put Omar Mamouche in 10, but you need Kevin De Bruyne for this kind of game. I think Mamouche is probably better on the left or the right with Savio, and then obviously work out from there. But I think you can't. I think Kovacic is needed for this kind of game. A bit of control because I think if you just go with Kev and Mamouche, that's 2 attacking players and 1-6, and we're going to get exposed. And I'm not saying you can't do it, Nico, but all that pressure on him against Valverde and Bellingham, you cover and Nico there to do a bit of work in that midfield. So I think for me, that's what I'd go with anyway. Nico, cover, Kev.
See?
I fully agree with that. I think Kovacic, Nico, and then De Bruyne. Literally, I think we play with the 4 in the back, play 2 midfield, and just let the front 4 just have fun and just finish the game for us, hopefully. I think that's the plan. If you look at all the teams who are top of their leagues and doing well, they've got a 4, they've got a 2, and then the front 4 just make magic. Look at Rafinha, Yamal, Lewandowski, and Dani Olmo. All the Barcelona players just having fun out there. Liverpool, Salah, Gakpo. Just literally, your front players just win the game for you, and we've got to do that on Tuesday. So I will go with that team.
Yeah, I agree. We just got to get the ball up and run at them because again, the weak at the moment, especially at the back. It's difficult for me. Nathan and Darla's just said, put in the chat, can't drop Foden, player of the year last year.
I get it, but on current form,
yeah. He loves a big game though.
Anyway.
He does love a big game.
But lads, I've said it 3 times already. Foden is starting, and so is Bernardo Silva on Tuesday. I don't care what anyone says.
No, you will.
We can like us 3 can sit here and say we want this team, we want that team. Foden and Bernardo Silva starting on Tuesday. I put my life in it.
I'm just gonna say that, mate. If that's the case, prepare for this boring passing football ever. I love both them players, but they're not wingers. Never have been. We've got to start using Savinio against no right back. Whoever plays right back is going to have a field day. Doku, if he's fit, he must play.
Which he is. Yeah, he has to play. Like I said, honestly, lads, if we don't win on Tuesday, we're not going to spend a winner. Like we can fantasize, we ain't doing it.
It's gonna be a fast start. Start.
Yeah, I think Nico's for me. Nico has to be in there. I agree with what everyone's saying there. I think everyone's picking Nico if he's fit. Kovacic as well. I'd also put Cover in there because obviously he's no Rodri, different player, but he'll be able to support Nico. On the break from Madrid, where Gundogan's he's not getting near the team. I don't think nobody's thinking about Gundogan for this game.
No.
If we do see that, if it is Kovacic and Gundogan, then it will be that'll be a rough one. I think that will be. That could be worse than the Arsenal game, to be honest with you, in terms of the scoreline. It could be really bad. I think Nico, Cover. I think De Bruyne has to play as well, like you said, Luke. For these games, he's a big game player. I think the only consideration you have to think, he's been wrapped in cotton wool this year for obvious reasons. He's getting older. If he plays the full 90 minutes, you've got the chance of him maybe potentially getting injured, not being fit for the next game. So, is he coming on? Is that potentially a way for Foden to get into the team?
Compromise.
Swap for swap.
I probably would do that. I think Kev. I said right. Kev starts the game.
Yeah.
You need creativity to start with and get a fast start. So Kev's good at that. And then right, get Kev off the Foden or Mamouche. Put what they want to do there. And then to bear in mind their pace in against an entire backline, perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I'll go with.
So we got another chat here from Lopez Sampo. Nunes to start against Vinny. I'm going to jump in here very quickly. I don't think it matters what anyone thinks here. I think he's going to start him, to be honest, lads. I'm really shocked. I would be.
I don't think he won't. I don't think Nunes starts.
He can't start.
I tell you what I think we'll do. I think we'll play Akanji or Stones right back.
Do you know, mate? But see, the thing is, though, I don't think Akanji's been solid recently.
Agreed. But okay, Akanji or Nunes against Vinny. What do you prefer? Is the question.
Husanov.
I think he spins both. Yeah, Husanov. Yeah.
No. Listen. Don't get me wrong. He spins both. Like I'm not saying like Akanji's going to lock him up, but okay, just turn back to last season at the Bernabeu when Akanji did play against. I mean, he wasn't good, but like apart from that spell where Rodrigo and Vinny scored, he didn't really do much. Vinny, so like,
no.
I personally would play Akanji.
Yeah, if it's bloody Nunes against Vinny Junior, it's going to be a bloodbath.
I think if we're going off recent games, and look, Pep will change certain things, right? Yeah. But he doesn't like an over. He won't. I don't think he won't change too much here. I think I do think Kusanov will play, but I'm telling you, don't be surprised if you see Nunes in that starting 11, right?
And you think Kusanov will play?
I think Kusanov will play. Yeah, I do. But
instead of who?
I think he will. I think he's good because I think Kusanov's sure. I think already. Like I don't get. He's very young. You need a bit more time to that. But once he gets, I think him and Diaz together, brilliant. Because Diaz wants to go. Yeah, obviously, it's right. Go there and.
Luke, what team would you go with on Tuesday?
Team would go with. Oh, okay. Right. Eddie in goal. I would probably go Kusanov. Akanji right. I think I'll go Akanji right back. No. I want to go Kusanov right back, but Pep won't do that. He won't do that.
Okay,
he should.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know what? I'll go more realistic here, probably rather than what I would probably want. Kanji, Stones, Diaz, Guardiola. That's fine for me. Nico, he's pretty fit. Nico covered Kev, and I go with Savinho, Haaland, Marmouche, or Doku if Doku's fit. But I want them to play that game. So yeah, that's what I'll go with.
Okay.
I think the thing is when the issue with the Kanji as well is he's not going to give you anything going forward, and I think obviously that's one of the reasons why Nunes has been obviously getting game time is, you know, traditionally he does obviously play further up the pitch. He's not a defender, we know that. Whether he does give you anything going forward, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. He tends to get up there and essentially just recycle the ball anyway. So yeah. But I do think he's going to put. I do think Nunes will be right back. I just have a feeling. I don't think he's going to change that. I don't know why. I think
Nunes plays right back. Foden on the left, Bernardo on the right. Just wait for it. Just wait.
Force it, Phil.
Just wait.
So to answer the question, Nunes to start against Vinny. I don't think any of us would have him starting. I think we've come to that conclusion. But personally, I think he will. I think he will. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think anyone here would be shocked if he was. I just hope he can have a decent game. I think all you can ask for is just provide adequate, you know, an adequate cover. Try not to get run in behind. That's the big worry. You know, because he's going to be up against some of the best wingers in the world at the end of the day.
Either way, though, Lewis, mate. I think the fan base is going to be completely divided on that team on Tuesday. You know what's good. You know what it'll be, lads. It'll be some will be wrong. Like, oh, that's wrong. You shouldn't play in there. And look, at the end of the day, right? As long as it's a good team that can do a good job out there, that's all I want, really. I'm not too fussed. As long as good one doesn't play in the game, he plays. God, we're screwed. As long as it's the right attack, Haaland has players around him that can find him pass, and the defence actually do a good job. Apart from that, just please play a competent team and defend well, please. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I want.
Yeah.
That's all I want now, man.
Do you know, one thing that I do want to mention, I saw a post, AC Milan post, I think Kyle Walker played today. Was it his first game for AC Milan? What a way to leave the club. Regardless of his form and you know, personal feelings, I think if you're captain in this club, you've been with for X amount of years, you won all these trophies. you stick with the club. The club are in this position now. We are in this position talking about the defence. I'm putting Núñez at right, but we're doing that because we've not got Kyle Walker. Now, Kyle Walker, if he was with the squad, I know the form was out the window, but he's an actual right back. He's a natural right back, and he's lost a bit of pace, yes, but historically, he's been. You could argue he was our best player in those Madrid games. Pocketing Mbappe and so on. And so we're in this position now because Kyle Walker's decided to leave, halfway through the season, forced Pep's hand, went behind Pep's back actually, didn't even speak to Pep, spoke to Cheeky and said, hey, I want to, I think I'm done here. And then the club was scrambling, and now we're in a position where we don't have a natural right back. We're trying to convert Kusanov potentially into a right back.
Yeah. It's. I think.
I'll tell you what. If he was playing on Tuesday, we'd all start him.
Yeah.
If he was at the club, we'd all start him on Tuesday. And like I said, Akanji played against Vinny last year at the Bernabeu. We considered 3 goals. Kyle Walker played against Vinny in the second leg. We considered 1 goal. I mean, people might say he was at fault, which I think is harsh. But apart from that, he locked him up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So like,
his pace isn't fully gone.
Yeah. It's a shame how it ended. Honestly, it's a big shame.
Yeah, it is.
It shows you though. I was thinking about this the other day. I think pure footballing ability, fine. I think he's obviously it's undisputed. I think he's the best right back we've ever had. The games he was in, the big games. The goal line clearance against Liverpool, the games against Real Madrid, and so on. Absolutely fantastic. But I think when you look back historically, you have to look at things outside of football. How he carried himself. There was always antics off the pitch. The mistakes he's made this season, leaving the club midway through the season, for me, is unforgivable, in my opinion. A captain can't be doing that. And you look at a player like Zabaleta, I'm not saying he was better than Kyle Walker technically, because he wasn't, but he left everything on the pitch, and he was a player that you never heard a peep from. There was never any antics off the pitch, and really he only left because, again, obviously his legs have gone. So, my opinion, I just wanted to put it out there. I think our greatest ever right back is still Pablo Zabaleta as the package, as the player, not just the on-field ability.
Yeah, agreed on that one. Yeah, it's a shame how it all ended, but I think for me, in the summer, it's obviously Cambiasso, obviously we'll all look at the moment, obviously Frimpong as well. So I'm sure there'll be a new number 2 at some point. But what we've got to do is learn from this going forward now. Just make sure that doesn't happen again. Like, if a player is done, and I think for me, Kyle Walker, I think was a great player for us. Like, I always remember him how good he was for us, rather than obviously the last couple of months. But I think what we've got to do is make sure that we don't keep players on for too long. As they're starting to go, right, let's end it on amicable terms where we can, rather than keep you on for too long. Fans get restless, it's out of hand, it ain't right.
No.
It ain't right. So, yeah.
There's got to be a balance. I think you don't want to become a Real Madrid, because I think they go too far with it. How they treated their ex-legends. Casillas is a really good example. How they treated Casillas was just abysmal, awful. Arguably the greatest ever goalkeeper of all time. There's a case for that. So you don't want to go that far with it, but I think there has to be a middle ground. If we're going to be a team that's regularly winning trophies for the next 10, 15 years, you have to have a little bit of a ruthless edge to you, because some of these players have just been coasting. I don't want to pick him because I do love him, and I still love him as a player. I think Big Steve mentioned it on one of the channels a couple of weeks back. He said, anytime you hear about Bernardo Silva from the fans, or if you see the stats, it's always how many miles he covered, or how much of the park he's hit. Great, but what's he doing? What's coming out of that? You're losing the game 2-0. So what does it mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything, And I think he is fortunate really, because he very much is a player who's crucial to the system that Pep plays, and he knows that. There's been games and periods of form where you think probably shouldn't even be starting, but he's a player that has to be started for the system that Pep plays in. I'm not saying that we get rid of him, but
he used to be a player, right? I did that a lot. Scored goals, got assists.
Yeah.
I remember, was it in 21-22 against Watford? Scored some great goals there. Obviously against Real Madrid, obviously a couple years ago, at a 4-0 win.
That was the header, wasn't it? Was it the header he scored?
Yeah.
Yeah, what a player.
Playable. Bayern Munich, unplayable.
Yeah.
This man has done that, but his goal and assist days done now.
Yeah.
It ain't the same player anymore. That's fine to accept that, but that's what it used to be. And you're right. I'd rather someone come in now in the summer who offers more going forward and more in that impact. I like having a player who works hard. You've got to work hard and also help out as well.
Yeah.
It's fine lines, but I'm not criticizing him for what he's done for us. Unbelievable player, but I think this summer I think it should time to move on and find someone else who can come in a bit younger. I think.
Interesting. T, would you move him on or would you keep him?
You know what? I keep him because there's so much other people I get rid of first rather than him.
Yeah.
I still think, in a sense of like, so much defenders I think we need to get rid of first before we think about Bernardo Silva or whoever.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. It's more for like later on, not now, but later on. I think one player's going to go first.
I think
down the line.
The biggest impact this season, especially in the recent games, is he's taken on that captaincy role really well. Obviously, I know he's not technically the captain, but the games against Chelsea, having pulling Kusanov to one side, rallying around him, I think the impact off the pitch as well, whether it's in training with the lads, I think he's one of those guys who's looked at as a real leader, and I think he's starting to show that a little bit more now as well. It'd be good if we could. I think he can. I don't think his legs have gone right because he's still running like a madman. I just think he needs to get his shooting boots back on. We need to see more of those assists. We need to see more of those. I can't remember who was against. It might have been against. Might have been against Liverpool. I mean, he always had great games against Liverpool. He was our best player in that Klopp and Pep era for me. And scored some massive goals. So I think he can get back to that. I just think we need to refocus his direction really on the pitch and really establish what it is he's here to do, because I think he has been grafting, but maybe not in the right way.
Agreed.
So we'll wrap up shortly, guys. We'll do predictions. It's important to be honest here, I think, but I think it's always good to be optimistic, right? So I'll kick us off. I think at the Etihad, I'm gonna go 1-1, maybe. Oh. I'm not confident on that, to be honest with you. But yeah, 1-1. We're gonna shut. We'll somewhat shut them out, I think.
Okay. 3-1. I think we'll start off well.
Yeah.
They will score a goal at some point, but it's all about us. That game management, manage the game. These two games here are where we've really got to manage it properly. Because if you start mucking about on the ball at the back, then we'll get punished. I hope the players will learn from Arsenal. Because if you don't learn from Arsenal, this will be a rude awakening.
Agreed.
It really will be. So I'll go 3-1, but I just hope we score some goals. All I'll ask for.
I'm gonna go with the same score as the same first leg last season, 3-0. I think there's goals in this game. I think because of injuries, both sides like form as well. I think it's a 3-3 draw. I think we're all expecting us to win the game because of their defense, but I'm just not convinced. I mean, by the time kickoff starts, I'll probably be thinking 3-1 City, which I was thinking, Luke. But I'm just gonna go 3-0 for now. I think I'll score goals. I just it's the thought of Mbappe and Vini and Rodrigo running that defense which scares me. So I think they'll score goals.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a hard one.
The difficult thing is we saw what happened with Arsenal. With as soon as Haaland scored, and then what was it?
38 seconds. Foden. It was 38 seconds later where Foden passes the ball and they score.
Yeah, completely changed the game. Took the wind out of everyone. It just deflated the whole. The crowd was the way were great as usual, to be fair. But I think on team you could see the heads drop straight away, and that's the thing that worries me the most, because it's the same against PSG. They turned up, they turned the gear, and we just could not match them. We could not match them. I think if we go into that second half, 0-0, there's absolutely no reason why we can't score in that second half. I think that the first 45 minutes are going to be massive. I think over the two legs, that opening 45 minutes is really going to dictate how this tie is going to go for me. I think if we concede in that first 45, it worries me a little bit, because I think Real Madrid are twice the team PSG are, to be honest with you, and they made us look like a League One team.
Also, stop conceding first. Yeah. Stop conceding first. Score the first goal.
Yes, and be clinical when you got a chance.
Yeah,
that's a good. Put it away.
Haaland, wake up, please. Big game. Where are you?
Please don't play Foden and Bernard on the wings, please.
No hold.
Haaland, full throttle. Them two past. I want to see.
Yeah.
We can score 6 past them very easily, but they can do it to us.
They say the same thing.
Yeah. So it's
I think balls in. I think as well. Now traditionally, historically, I hate playing that way, where we're just banging crosses into him, because again, usually in the Premier League, he's man-marked and he's out of the game, and he does struggle. However, I think with the makeshift backline that Madrid have got, the fact that obviously they play in the Liga, which again is not a very physical league when you compare it to the Premier League, I think he's got to go up there, stay up there, and just pepper the balls into him. I think Savio and him have got a really good link up as well. So yeah, for me, Savio has to start there. But I'm going with 1-1. We've got 3-3 from T, and we've got 3-1 from Luke. So I went quite conservative, but maybe I should have gone higher. But I'll stick with 1-1. We'll see. But we'll end it there, guys. Thank you both for joining, and we're being a part of the first video on the channel. I really do appreciate it. For the guys that have joined and contributed into the chat, again, massive thank you. It's great, the purpose of this channel. I want to get as many fans involved as I can. I want to get other City content creators on. That's something that I'm gonna push for, and we've had a really good start here. With Luke joining as well, and hopefully we'll get some other familiar faces on as well. But T doesn't have a YouTube channel, but again he goes to all of the home games, and so he's a really good outlet, and a great input for the channel for how the fans are seeing, how the fans experience it. So like, share, please subscribe, get it shared around, and we'll be dropping at least once a week. So again, I'll probably speak to you all at some point after the Real Madrid game.
All right, cool. No problem.